So I recently did a video talking about the shooting of Noel Aguilar by the police while he was in custody. And although an overwhelming majority of the responses that I got on the video were positive, one of my subscribers, who happens to be a police officer, wasn't really happy with that video at all. And a lot of false statements were made as a rebuttal to my video. I responded with facts and evidence and sources, and I didn't really get anything back in return as far as anything of the same manner that I was providing. I'm providing facts and evidence and sources, and all I'm getting is opinions and anecdotal evidence type of deal, like I was told, hey, one of the things I mentioned is I talked about that being a law enforcement officer is actually not that dangerous of a job, which was shocking to me when I was told that some years ago. But as always, I don't just accept what I'm told. I did my own research. So now I know without a doubt that that is in fact the case. And I'm going to prove that. I'm going to show that to you guys. Everything here you can see for yourself. Everything I'm backing up. There's no opinion here. There's no bias. But I wanted to clear up a lot of things. Like one of the key things here is the idea that I'm against cops, or I hate cops, or I'm biased against cops. That is totally false. That is totally false. So let us first begin this journey with the understanding that I am the biggest ever traitor that you could ever know. What I mean by traitor is I have no allegiance to anyone, to any group. I don't care. I only care about truth. I don't care about people that look like me as far as complexion. I don't believe in race. I don't care about religion. I don't care about my own industry that pays my bills. I will tell it like it is. My industry is corrupt. I personally stay away from corruption, but it is corrupt. I will call it out. My own industry. I'm ex-military. The military is corrupt. I will call out the military. I do not care. I will tell it like it is. So don't you dare anyone ever look at me and think that I am biased. I am not biased. There is nothing wrong with those that wear the uniform. I wore a uniform myself. The problem is the individuals who continue to disgrace the uniform. And the system itself is corrupt. So the police departments across this country, many of them are themselves corrupt. And you have many individuals, many people like to say it's a few bad eggs. That is not true. I'll prove that too. There are many corrupt officers, but simply wearing the uniform does not make you corrupt. I personally know someone who's one of my top subscribers who's actually in Homeland Security. And I've had various relationships with various members of the law enforcement community. And we're going to get into all of that. But bottom line is, I'm not one of those, the people who have this, F the cops mentality. I'm not of that. The uniform means nothing. It's the individual. It's who is wearing the uniform and what actions that individual decides to take. And many people, many individuals who happen to wear uniforms and are disgracing the uniform, those are the ones that I have a problem with. Those individuals, not the uniform, nothing else, but individuals that are taking bad actions. So let's begin our journey. When I was younger, for a lot of my life, I admired law enforcement. And in fact, I wanted to initially go into law enforcement. I was thinking about potentially something like the FBI, for example. So I've had a long-standing admiration for law enforcement. That is the reality. People may look at me and want to judge me and think they know me and know what I'm about. Well, the reality is, you want to think that I hate cops? I've loved law enforcement. Unfortunately, I grew up and I realized the reality of law enforcement, and now I could never work in law enforcement. It just, there's no way. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. So with that being said, what you're looking at here is just a photo. I actually volunteered. I know this is not law enforcement, but I actually volunteered to work with the local fire department. Um, I used to live in New York, and I actually put on my old uniform, my military uniform, which I barely fit into, and I marched side by side with the NYPD and the FDNY. And this was one of the 9/11 remembrance deals that they did. And, this is not something I had to do. This is something that I took upon myself to do. And so if you want to know how I feel about law enforcement, whether you think I'm biased or I hate law enforcement, you think I would be marching side by side with police officers that I think are scum? As I said before, it's about the individuals. It's not about the uniform. Speaking of which, like I said, I am former military. And like I said, no allegiance. Although I respect the military and I'm totally proud of me being in the military. Some of you have noticed I always wear this. I've been wearing this for, wow. I've been wearing this for, wow, how long has it been? Let me pause for a second while I try to remember that. I've been wearing this for about 15 years. For 15 years, every day, I've worn this. These are my dog tags from the military. So that's my position. However, on the same token, I'm not going to hide the fact that we have corruption within the military. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw the, we used to have on the walls all this stuff about honor and integrity. Sounds like the police, doesn't it? Honor and integrity and all this kind of stuff. And then the reality is we had many people that were betraying those ideas that, we were supposed to be embracing. And I got a rude awakening that the corruption went up the ladder. So it's like, if you say something, you open up your mouth and you speak up against things, and then you realize that you're complaining to people that are complicit. You go up the chain of command and you realize that your commanders, they themselves are corrupt. I'm not saying the whole military is corrupt and everything's bad. Again, just like with the police, not everyone is corrupt. It's an individual thing, but you do have a good amount of people that are, in fact, corrupt. There was actually an incident where, let me see if I can find it. So this is my military. I'm going to warn you guys, what you're about to see is a little bit disturbing. So just be warned. But this is my military. Even though I wear the dog tags, and there's a part of me that definitely, I don't know, if you've never been in the military, you can't necessarily understand, but there's a sense of brotherhood. It's, I guess, in a way, imagine that you have your family, right? And you have people in your family that are doing wrong things, but they're still family, right? Now, I would hope that you're not going to cover up for them and help them to commit crimes, but in the same token, they're your blood, and there's a certain connection that you may have, and a certain respect that you may have for them in spite of their wrongs. And I guess that's kind of the relationship I have with the military. But this is I was a part of this. I didn't do anything like this at all. Personally, there's nothing on my conscience. I have not done anything like this at all, but simply being in the military means that I am guilty by association for being a part of an organization that does things like this. Take a look. Well, I guess I'll let you know what you're about to see. This is the gunning down of innocent civilians by the U.S. military, and the gunning down of people that were simply trying to recover the bodies. So they gun down this person, and then people coming to take the bodies, and they kill the bodies, and listen to how the attitude of the pilot, which sounds like it's just a video game. I mean, just totally.
Come on, let us shoot. A Bushmaster, Crazy Horse 1A. We're taking him. Bushmaster, Crazy Horse 1A.
This is Bushmaster 7, go ahead.
Roger, we have a black SUV or bongo truck picking up the bodies. Request permission to engage.
This is Bushmaster 7, Roger. This is Bushmaster 7, Roger, engage.
1A, engage. Clear. Come on. Clear. Clear. Warren, coming around, clear. Roger. Trying to,
Listen to how funny this all is. It's all a big joke.
Roger, we'll be standing by here.
Viper 5-2 radio.
Yes, Viper 5-2 departing zone 208 for zone 4. We call frequency change.
I just drove over a body. Yeah.
Viper 5-2, report freak change zone 4.
Major is a visual. I just drove over a body. Yeah.
Viper 5-2, report freak change zone 4.
Roger. Break. Crazy Horse 1A. Request permission to engage individual. Picking up the wounded.
Yeah, we're trying to get permission to engage. Come on, let us shoot.
A Bushmaster, Crazy.
So this is the military that I served in. This is a disgrace to the uniform. This is one of many examples of the kinds of things that we've done in the military. But am I going to cover it up? Am I going to deny it? Am I going to try to hide from the truth? No. No allegiance. My only allegiance is to truth. And the truth of the matter is, this stuff happens all the time, and it's very, very sickening. As far as my feelings towards the police, as I said, I've loved law enforcement for a long time. I mean, I've lost that love now that I've grown up and realized the truth. It's kind of like Santa Claus. I used to love Santa Claus too. But now I realize the truth, you know, it's not all fun and games. And I just could never be a part of it. But T.J. Hooker was one of my favorite shows. As a popular police show from when I was a kid. I absolutely love this. When I'm playing with my toys, I'm thinking of me being T.J. Hooker and chasing down the bad guys and saving the day and all that propaganda that they sell you on these TV shows. Unfortunately, reality is a little bit different from Hollywood. And then Chips, another favorite show. I love, you know, motorcycles from when I was a kid. This is another police show, California Highway Patrol. And coincidentally, I actually have had good experiences with the California Highway Patrol for the most part. I got a little guy with a little attitude one time, but I don't know why I said little guy, but anyway, I haven't had really much trouble with them. We're gonna get into that a little bit later. But Chips is one of my favorite shows again. One of my favorite shows as well as a kid was X-Files. I was so much in love with law enforcement that I actually named one of my pets after a police enforcement character in one of my favorite shows. I'll leave it at that. I'm already saying too much. I don't be giving out too much of my personal information online. FBI is definitely an agency that I definitely was very interested in joining. When I was younger, I actually used to carry around with me an FBI brochure, and I remember I used to have the top 10 most wanted posters. I don't know where I got that from. I think I downloaded it from one of the computer labs or something like that. But yeah, I was definitely just to give, and actually some of the stuff that I did back in the day, I would get in trouble for today just because of the post 9/11 world we live in. Like I was so much in love with law enforcement and I love taking photos. So if I saw an FBI building or something like that, and I get so excited, it was just like me seeing a car, exotic car or motorcycle. So I would whip out the camera and want to take all kinds of photos and stuff. But now you do that and you're a terrorist, right? It's funny how things have changed. Also, I've always loved aviation. I love taking photos of aircraft and watching them. Now, you do that, and it's like people look upon you suspicious. Like, why would you want to take a picture of an aircraft? Because I love aircraft, But the world we live in is a little bit different from the way it used to be. I actually tried out for the Air Force Special Operations School, which is basically not I wouldn't quite say like Navy SEALs, but it's in that kind of area, and I'll leave it at that and move on to this. Study rates of many mental disorders much higher in soldiers than in civilians. And I definitely saw that. I definitely ran into a couple of guys that were in the military that definitely seemed a little bit off. And this is from basic, I was seeing this, I had one guy, a real weirdo, that just kept staring at me like a freak. I don't know what that was all about. And it wasn't any kind of a, homosexual or anything like that. It was just real, like, just imagine somebody who's just mentally ill and acting like a child, like like say a 5-year-old or something that's trying to antagonize you, type of thing. He kept harassing me to the point where I actually ended up chasing him down, and that I guess that kind of scared him, so he never bothered me again. But who knows where that guy went? He is this guy right now, flying in an aircraft right now loaded with missiles? Look at the video we just saw. A guy like that is who we have in the military. And again, it's not about the uniform, it's about the individuals, right? And we have far too many individuals that should not be wearing a uniform, and far too little individuals that are doing anything about it. We have other individuals that are covering up. They let the brotherhood go too far to where it's like, oh, I'm military, we're all a team, so I'm gonna cover up for my teammate. How are you gonna let somebody disgrace the uniform, whether it's military or whether it's law enforcement? They're making you all look bad. And when you defend people that do wrong things, you're guilty by association and you become complicit. The U.S. holds the world record of killings of innocent civilians. I put a link to all these things in the description. You guys can maybe pause the video. I did this in ultra high resolution, so you guys can probably see this. If you put it in the highest resolution, click on the gear icon, put on the highest resolution, and if you have a big enough screen, you should be able to actually read this. If you want to, you have to just pause it and stuff. That's a long article. You probably want to click on the link. Not gonna hide the truth. So what about me now? So I work on Wall Street, and Wall Street is moved beyond the actual street. Just for those of you that are unaware, it's kind of a generic term now that we use for the let's call it the financial markets or whatever. This is a global network, and you have exchanges all over the world, and it's definitely very digital as opposed to back in the day where it's more of an auction type of thing, like you have the New York Stock Exchange. Things are very, very different, but there's a lot of corruption. I've stayed away from corruption, just like in the military. I've never done anything corrupt in my job. I can't say that I've directly witnessed any corruption myself. I've definitely seen people that I've been suspicious of, that they may be doing things that they should not be doing. I've definitely seen people that seem to be dishonest and suspect, but I'm very, very critical of the types of firms that I'm willing to work for. So while I've always been highly employable and I've definitely been a high demand type of person because of the knowledge that I possess, it's been a little bit difficult for me because I refuse to work for companies that I know for a fact that are going to be corrupt and things like that. I try to work for the better companies. So I do the best that I can. You know, corruption is everywhere. The problem is society is broken. We have a lot of people where their morals are just really not where they should be. And as a result, you're going to have companies that are going to reflect the morality of society, right? So, you know, you work in Walmart, and the thing is, the people want to point fingers. Everybody wants to point fingers. You know, if it's the police, it's the politicians. It's not any particular group or company or industry. It's society. So everywhere, every industry, you're going to see it. You work at Walmart, and you're part of the corruption. How are you part of the corruption? Because Walmart itself is corrupt. Some of those things, why are they so cheap? Probably Chinese slave labor, right? You're helping a system that has people that are basically slaves working for nothing just so that, you know, we in America can get stuff that's really super cheap, right? So those cheap prices, where's that coming from? Look at Apple. Apple is such a fraud. You know, they try to appear to be an American company, but a majority of the employees from Apple are actually in China. It's like they're headquartered here in America, but the reality again is that a lot of their people, like these things, are really being built in China. I think the idea is it's designed in America but built in China. So there's Chinese slave labor all over this place, and I don't think anyone that's listening to this video right now can escape from corruption. Whatever industry you're working in, I'm pretty sure there's some level of corruption, whether you want to admit it or not, or whether you're aware of it or not. A lot of people tend to be naive, and they just don't get. You know, they're kind of caught up in the matrix. You know, I've definitely taken the right pill to where I see things for what they are, whether it's religion, politics, it's government, military, law enforcement, marriage, race, the myth, the lie, even history. I mean, there's so many things, man. Mexicans are not Spanish. Puerto Ricans are not Spanish. Even I fell for that for so long, and I realized that they are just victims of colonization, right? The native people of these places were not Spanish. It's the Spaniards that came there and brought their language and culture. And yet we're totally oblivious to these things. Genocides that have occurred. We celebrate Thanksgiving every year. What are we celebrating? What exactly happened to the natives when they came here? Why is this country called America? That was a mistake. A lot of people don't even know that. America should not even be called America. That was a mistake. The language we speak, it's not our language. Came from Britain, but it's not their language either. That came from North Germany. English. England. Anglo-Saxons. History is a very interesting thing. But yeah, I work in a corrupt industry, but I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not gonna hide it. You want people call me on it, I'm gonna say you're right. Right? And if you work in law enforcement, I'm sorry, you also work for a corrupt industry. Only problem is your industry is much more of a threat than my industry and many others, because your industry has the ability to kill, to take lives, just like the military, and get away with it. And there is not much protections for us, the civilians. If a police officer kills me or attempts to kill me, who is going to rescue me? Who is going to save me? The worst that my industry can do is wipe out someone financially. And I'm not directly related to anything like that, but I mean, there's parts of the business I know where, someone can get completely wiped out. All your money is gone, but you're alive. But with law enforcement, a gun can be put to someone's head and they can be killed. No consequences. Maybe you get some time with pay. What is it called? You get suspension with pay. Yeah, that's a really big problem. So here's some more information. So let's get down to the facts of the matter. And actually, this video is running a little bit long, so I'm going to do another video where I'm going to get into some statements that were made to me about, I presented the facts about law enforcement, about how it's not really as dangerous as people make it out to be. And that was challenged, not with facts, not with evidence. It was just simply challenged by anecdotal information and opinion. The person felt, and I'm not going to say who it is, but the person felt that I was wrong. But they provided no evidence, no proof of that. So that was clear to me that they were speaking about their opinion and not speaking factually. So we're going to deal with the facts. And that's one thing, man. I don't care. You're my top subscriber. You're my family member. You're military. You happen to have the same shade as I do. Like, that matters in 2015. I really don't care. The truth is the truth. And I'm going to tell it like it is. And if you want to challenge what I say, you need to challenge me with logic and with facts and with evidence. Don't you dare challenge anything that I say unless you're going to come at me seriously. Court of law standards. If what you're saying would not hold up in a court of law, then don't waste your time saying it to me, because it's not going to fly. I don't care who you are. Female, male, celebrity, non-celebrity, does not matter. This ends part 1. Part 2, we're going to get into the details of the reality of what law enforcement is today. I hope this video, this first part, cleared up any misconceptions as far as any loyalties I may have, any bias I may have, any ill will I have to simply wearing a uniform. False. When I see officers on the street and they're conducting themselves professionally, I treat them with respect. In fact, I even treat officers with respect who don't treat me with respect. I don't necessarily respect them, but I treat them with respect. I have never in my life disrespected a police officer. Although if you ask a police officer, or there's officers out there who would definitely disagree with that statement, because in their minds, me asking for a supervisor is disrespecting them. It is my right as a United States citizen to ask for a supervisor if I don't feel comfortable. That is my right. Now, if that bothers you, then you don't need to be in a uniform. And to me, you are a traitor. You are absolutely a traitor. That is un-American for you not to respect my freedom and my right. We are living in America. America is supposed to be the land of the free. We're supposed to be the good guys. And for you to not respect my right to ask for a supervisor in America, you are betraying everything that this country stands for. And you should be ashamed of yourself, and in my opinion, stripped of your uniform. You do not belong on the force. But beyond that, never raised my voice, never cursed an officer, never insulted an officer. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That's how I address officers, even the ones who disrespect me. Even the officer that assaulted me and later laughed at me in the police station, where people say bad eggs. The entire police department, everyone there at the police station laughed at me, mocked my military service. There was no good eggs in there. It was all bad eggs. They all thought it was funny watching the video of me in pain. That's funny to them. That same officer that assaulted me on that day in the police car, I talked to him as a man. to the extent that he shared with me personally things, he shared personal things with me as if we were friends. After assaulting me, we had that kind of conversation. I think he shared something about his family, his father, or his parents, or something to that effect. That's how I conduct myself. So don't anyone dare try to accuse me of being a cop hater, of being biased against cops. Absolutely not. However, I do hold everyone accountable. I don't care who you are. Family, friends, top subscriber, celebrity, non-celebrity, police officer, politician, rich, poor, young and old. I don't care who you are. Woman, man, brown skin, pink skin. I don't care. All I care about is the truth. If you're going to challenge me, you got to come with facts and evidence and not opinions and anecdotal stories. All right, this ends part 1. Part 2, we're going to get into, I'm going to state my case as far as the statistics on basically how dangerous is it to be a police officer. People think it's dangerous. That point was challenged. Well, I'm going to bring the facts and evidence to prove my case. Undisputable evidence. Court standards, court of law standards.